Welcome to Organizing Elephants. I'm Darla DeMorrow, and this is the show with sanity-saving organizing wisdom from smart, busy, accomplished women. You're watching on MLTV Mainline Network. Today, as always, I have a wonderful guest. I am excited to introduce to you Helen Robinson. She is the Exton branch manager for a national corporation called GEI Consultants. Helen, thanks for being on the show today.
Thanks, Darla. I'm happy to be here.
I am so excited to have you here for a whole bunch of reasons. I was trying to remember how we met, and I think stalked you a little bit because I think you showed up in Vista Today, which is a newsletter. I think I have the right heading there, but it's an online newsletter that showcases basically good news, good accomplishments of professional people in the Chester County region, and I love reading it because I get to meet interesting people like you, but also it's just an uplifting sort of daily activity for me. It's a lot different than reading the headlines and the front page of the newspaper. So I'm glad you showed up in there, and then we connected. I reached out to you, and I was so intrigued by the work that you do, the professional work that you do with GEI Consultants. So could you tell us just a little bit about your professional life and what you do at work?
Sure. I'm a geostructural engineer, so that is anything below the ground. I do underpinning to support buildings. If you're going to construct something adjacent to an existing building and you want to support the building without damaging those foundations, I do that type of work.
Yeah, I have a need for that all the time. We totally need to get in touch. This is big stuff. This is amazing.
It's exciting, and every project is different, which is something I love about it.
Right.
Also, if you think of a roadway expanding and you need to cut into an existing embankment, we do supportive excavation, soil nail walls, and rock bolts, things like that.
So I was reading up, and I need to know what a soil nail wall is. I don't get that.
Right, so when you're cutting into the soil that's existing and you need to retain it, so right now on 252, Springton Lake Dam Reservoir, they're expanding that, replacing the bridge, and we designed the soil nail wall that goes along there. So it's basically drilling in steel elements, putting a plate on it, and then a facing, and that's holding back soil from sliding down into the roadway.
Okay. So these are the things that, I love, because you're right, we all drive on these local roads. We see the local construction projects. Mm-hmm. We may say some things under our breath if we're late. You're not in charge of all that.
No.
But these huge projects are going around us mm-hmm. all the time, and I actually think probably maybe more than the average bear about these projects, because I didn't go into one of those technical fields. And I know that those projects don't get made without lots of resources, lots of training, engineering, which is a word that, quite frankly, I never heard until after I came out of college. I was just not in a universe where engineering was a thing. Nobody said to me, that might be a career choice for you. So, I think it's so interesting to have you here in the studio and talk to you, because you're one of the team, one of many people on a team that can make a huge project like that happen.
Thanks. Yeah. And I think it's so important on these projects to continue communication. It's so easy now to be using email and even text messages and things like that, but meeting the team in person really still facilitates things and goes a long way towards goodwill on the project between the designer, the contractor, all the parties at play there.
That is so true and interesting. Again, as the consumer, I'm driving on a road and I see construction on the lane next to me. I always think there's got to be a huge amount of trust between the teams that are making that happen, the corporate teams, the engineering teams, the municipal teams, the city or state or whoever's running that. It really, even though it's a huge project, it's still people in charge, right?
Right. And safety is a primary concern as well, of course. When you got people working around heavy equipment and sending people out, you want to make sure that they're trained and all of that.
Oh my gosh. So I want to read a couple of things for our viewers, because I doubt I'm going to brag on you just a minute, okay? I went to your website and I learned that you have 16 years of design and construction experience in engineering services and project management for geostructural designs. that right there is a mouthful, and I don't get to say that on a daily basis. But I also was pretty impressed that you were co-author of the Federal Highway Administration Soil Nail Reference Manual Geotechnical Engineering Circular in February 2015. You have this big fancy federal paper behind you, paper or book, which is it?
It's a manual to design soil nail walls.
Okay.
So yeah, that was a really good experience to be part of that as well.
Again, you were co-author, so it was part of a team.
Correct.
That put that together.
Yes.
Wow. Great. Okay. So that's what you do from 8 to 5 or whatever you're. Do you have work hours, normal work hours like a corporation, or are you more on call?
Definitely spend most of that time that you just mentioned in the office, but then also working with contractors, which is primarily our clients. So that can be all times of the day, and you know, it can be overnight. If we're doing a lot of bridge work, can be overnight. You want to load test some of the elements that you install without a lot of traffic, so some of that can be at night, and you know, I squeeze it in wherever it works.
Right, right. Okay. Well, so that's a good entree then into how do you make all that work. I know that you, like many of us, are tied to your technology.
Yes.
What works for you to help keep you organized so that you can balance? We'll talk about balance in a minute. I don't know. I don't know if you think there's balance. No, I don't like that either. I think it's more just juggling and doing what we need to get things done on a routine basis. But how do you make the tech that you use on a daily basis help you keep your work life humming?
Okay, I definitely utilize the good old iPhone and my Apple Watch and the Echo Dot for a variety of things. One of the things that I do is for work, I like to kind of get dressed up, even if a step above maybe what is needed. But I'll travel for conferences and seminars, and I like to plan out my outfits ahead of time, but it consumes a lot of time. So if I'm getting ready to travel and I need to get stuff ready for my children while I'm gone, I like to, what I've done is sort of created a little photo library of my outfits.
Okay.
So, you know, when I find something I like with the accessories, I'll take a picture of it and store that in an album on my phone so that when I'm packing for a trip, I'll flip through and I'll say, I'll bring that, and then just search for, you know, those items.
The components.
Right.
That's brilliant. I love that idea. And I know not everybody knows exactly how albums work, so I'll just fill that in. But on the iPhone, if you take a picture, then on the iPhone, you can select that picture to go into the digital album that's also in the iPhone Photos program. And if anybody's confused on that, just please email me. I will walk you through that because that's what we do as photo organizers in my company. But I actually hadn't heard anybody describe it in exactly the same way you just did. I think that's brilliant.
Thanks.
And if, like me, I wonder if, like me, you sometimes put together an outfit and you think in your head, oh, that's going to work. And then you realize, it just doesn't feel right. You know, it's not making me feel as confident or as put together as I want. And then there are other outfits that I put on and I'm thinking, nailed it, you know. So those are the ones that you want to come back to.
Exactly. I don't want to have to recreate this again.
Yeah.
Let's save it.
Yeah.
I've done the same with my lipsticks. So I have an album of lipsticks that things that I like. That way I can just flip through it and I have it titled there. And
Now, see, I've simplified that even further. I have one lipstick, period. And it seems to work. It's good. It's all encompassing. I could just put gloss on it the rest of the day. But yeah, I love that. If you do have different shoes, handbags, lipsticks, whatever, that you keep track of those and using your iPhone. Excellent. Okay, what else? I love these tips.
So the other thing I do is I have a lot of short emails that I need to do to keep in touch with people at work, and I will get bogged down and distracted when I'm actually at the office. The phone is ringing or something. So I like to dictate these emails in the car, but I don't like to send them right away because I'm a little bit of a stickler about grammar and wanting it to sound personal and not like I just dictated it.
Yeah.
And double check it. So I'll dictate them, put them into my notes, or email it to myself. Then I get to the office, I have 6 emails I can quickly just proof and get them sent to the appropriate people.
Right. I like that.
That's working okay.
You know, along those lines, I actually have my email send function turned off. so that when and this is more in the office, I actually turned it off in Outlook, but I don't send emails as soon as I hit the sent button because they'll sit in my outbox until I actually hit the button to send a bunch of them out. And that has saved me more than once from a bad typo or, sending something out in the wrong voice. I didn't want it to sound maybe as confrontational as it sounded, something like that. So any of those tricks that give you that, what do they call it on the networks, kind of a 30-second delay, like, oh, I didn't mean to say that. I love that. Love
Take that back real quick.
Yeah, right,
exactly.
Right. Great. Okay, what else? These are great tips.
Thanks. For the kids, I am constantly putting things in a safe place. Right? Like my son Tommy wanted to be Mario for Halloween of Mario and Luigi Brothers.
Right.
And the costume came with mustaches, stick-on mustaches, which I didn't want to forget where they were. Didn't want him to lose them ahead of time. So, I'm always putting things in a safe place and then forgetting where that is.
Oh, yes. It's too safe, right?
Yes. So now I'm actually taking a picture of the thing in the safe place.
Oh,
and then putting that into a safe place,
folder, an
folder.
album.
Same thing, in an album. So that I'm like, where did I put the wireless mouse? In the kitchen drawer. And there's a picture of it circled in the kitchen drawer.
Oh, good for you.
So
you're really, I love these tips. You really, give me more. You're really using your technology, I think, to full advantage.
Thanks. I guess the other thing is I'm setting alarms. So someone sends me a text message, I need to just check my calendar before I can get back to them on something, and that sometimes results in me not getting back to them ever.
Right.
So I'll set an alarm, but I need to name the alarm. Otherwise, there's an alarm going off that I don't remember.
Right.
I need to text my sister-in-law back about a play date or something.
Now, along those lines, a lot of times I'll actually set an appointment. So I will, instead of setting alarms, because I don't like all of those alarms going off at me all day long, but I will set an appointment that I need to get back to somebody at 4:30 this afternoon or something like that. And as I'm scanning my calendar, then it'll trigger a memory. And I think both of those systems can work equally as well. The point is you're really doing exactly what I do, which is try and expand my brain. And let the technology do the
work
things
for us.
that I don't need to remember to do something at 4:30. I just need it to tell me to do that thing at 4:30. But in between now and 4:30, I don't need to have that running through my brain.
I think as much as we can take the mental load away is better, because that just weighs us down.
Yes, exactly. Okay, what else?
I guess the other thing is, so that sounds like I'm always, trying to cram things in, which can be true, but I have made a more conscious effort to leave some open space because I realize that's essential to solving problems.
Right.
So I'm always, in the shower wishing I could write something down or, but it is good to have time and even some drive time. If I'm working on the way or thinking on the way to work, then on the way home, maybe try and chill and make that transition and leave that empty space, because so many good ideas can happen during that time.
Oh my gosh, yes.
That I realized I was cramming it full and never allowing myself that time. So I think it's important to schedule that.
Absolutely. There's so many productivity experts and time management experts that actually will tell you their own experience. Harold Taylor's one that he's been out there forever. He's actually tried to retire and he failed at doing it. He came back. And one of his experiences over the last 10, 15 years was that he gave up his walking time, which used to just be walking, and he started listening to podcasts, and he found that he lost that sort of downtime where the experiences and the ideas would come to him for his next training, next article, whatever. And so when he started listening to podcasts, which we all think are great things, and they are, he lost those inspirations, those pieces of ideas that were coming to him that he could turn into his next big thing. And so he recognized that. And I heard him talk about this years and years ago, and it really made an impact on me. And also, you mentioned you have kids. I do too. Sometimes you just need to leave space for the emergency room visit, for the call to the friend, for the whatever opportunity. If your schedule's always packed, you can't always take advantage of a neat new opportunity that comes your way. Yeah.
And I think it's important to know yourself also. That's something else I wanted to talk about, that, I'll see an article, 15 ways to get organized, and I'll read it, and I might even go out and buy those specific bins or organizing tools.
Right.
But then sometimes it actually turns me off because it doesn't work for me. But I think you need to know what, understand yourself, how you operate, how you learn and think, and then tweak those tips, into something that works for you.
Yeah.
And not get upset that everything doesn't work. I tried that, it didn't work for me. Okay, try the next thing.
That's right. And working in the industry that you work in, having the life experience that you have, it sounds like you're able to trust yourself. If something doesn't work, something else will. I'll try something else and it's okay. Rather than saying, oh, that didn't work for me, I stink at organizing, right? There's no reason to go there. That doesn't help us get to our goals, right?
Right.
Oh, awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. So, so what about at home? Do your kids think you're hyper organized?
Absolutely not.
No.
No, they don't. They laugh at me, and
it sounds to me like you've got it under control. But you're a single mom, is that right?
Yes,
okay,
right.
so you're one person trying to direct 4 lives and activities, and maybe there's a dog and cat in there. I don't know. There's activities around that too. Right. So how do you keep all of that going and humming along?
Yes. So first of all, my parents are amazing and have been such a big help. They're always offering themselves and volunteering to help me. So that's amazing.
Great.
My daughter Gabby is 10 and she's mini mom and a great help. And then Vinny is 8 and Tommy is 5. So it is a fun crew. And
are they going to be excited? You just mentioned their names on TV.
I think so.
I hope so.
5 years from now, probably not.
Yeah.
But now it's cool. And so, they are very good about going along with it, whatever I've come up with in order to keep things moving. So I've instituted the work-play days on Sundays, and that's 30 minutes of helping mom with things, and then 30 minutes of fun. And
in rapid succession?
Yes.
Okay, I love it.
So I said, okay, it's time. They'll come up. Okay, you're unloading the dishwasher, you're matching socks, whatever it is. And then on the 30 minutes of rest, I'll read a book too. So that's been important. At first I was alternating, okay, you're 30 minutes, then you're helping me, then you're helping me. And then I realized I'm working the whole time, and that's no fun either.
Right.
So
yeah,
I've started relaxing. And my mom came up with that idea. She used to put both fun things and jobs on little slips of paper, fold them up, and put them into a hat, and we got to pull them out. So you didn't know if you were going to be vacuuming the living room or you were going to get to read a book for 20 minutes, which is fun in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
Not all kids think so, but
right.
So I'm trying to get them engaged, try to pass along some, that I'm not doing everything, that they're taking some ownership as well.
Yeah, and from 5 to 10, I think they're in the perfect age bracket to learn how to do things. It sounds like you're not expecting perfection, right? That doesn't have to be part of the equation. It should not be part of the equation when you're dealing with kids, quite frankly.
Right.
But they're picking up skills, and they're learning that they can help at home too. I'm all about that, girlfriend.
Yeah, because we're starting the battle now of the electronics.
Oh,
and
yes.
Even though I tried to put it off, it's still it's here, and the texting and all of that. So
that's interesting. So my kids are a little bit older, 10 and almost 13. We're about ready to turn that corner. And I know, some parents are like, it's here, and, I'm not worried about it. I also, we were a screen-free family for a long, long, long time.
Wow, yeah.
I did eventually buy them their own Kindles, and they could get onto there's a lockdown universe in the Amazon world.
Yes.
It's called Amazon Freestyle, I think it is.
I think that's right.
And they can only get to kids shows that have been approved, and I can actually pull some of those shows off if I want to. So, I felt like it was locked down and safe enough, and there were days when they had access to the Kindle and days when they didn't.
Right.
We only turn on the TV if we're all in front of it. We don't sort of leave it in the background. That's just my house. I'm not judging, or, it doesn't have to be anybody else's house, but it's interesting to me that you're in a very technical environment and you're using technology all the time, and yet you want to have some limits on your kids' access to technology as well. Tell me about what you're thinking there, because I think that's...
I'm just thinking it's important to, continue to interact and play board games and, do all those fun thinking things without your electronics, to exercise so they can earn electronic time by getting on the elliptical machine or by reading or by practicing their instruments.
Yes.
So that's how they earn minutes. But even that, just managing that is exhausting.
Yeah.
And I know this is only the tip of the iceberg at their ages. But
yes, yeah. But then, they start to, my daughter's 13 and we're starting to talk about things that we know are happening online or that she's seeing. She's still, hiding quite a bit from us too. And I'm trying to explain to her, you're not successful at hiding it, right? I know what you're doing over there. But we talk about like the teen challenges that are coming out. There's a new one, apparently, plug something in halfway and try and touch a quarter to it. I don't know what it's called, but an idiotic challenge.
Right.
And there's been several of them over the last few years, and we bring them up at the table and, we talk to our kids about when these challenges come up and when they come across your social media or the discussions that you're having in school, what do you do? And so we're trying to arm them with good decision making, hopefully.
Right.
You're in the same boat.
Right. And I remember all those challenges always existed. It's just now feel more widespread because they aren't passed by word of mouth.
True.
But there's videos of people doing them and all that.
Oh,
so
crazy, right?
Yes.
So how do your kids know what you do? Do they think you're a superhero with, being able to hold up entire mountains full of dirt with just your engineering skills? Do they get that at all?
I think they have some idea about, construction and things like that. I like to come into their classes even when they were young and read a book about a construction site, pass around safety glasses and a hard hat.
Oh wait, you have boys, and boys typically, so I have girls, but you have boys and they're really into like trucks usually at an early age. Oh, you must have been.
Right, so they're very interested in that type of thing. Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. So yeah, I can't get my kids into a dump truck. I don't have one at the site, That's awesome, awesome. Well, I know that we offline had talked about, this whole idea of life sometimes just feeling very big, very overwhelming, all-consuming. It sounds like you have figured out how to eat an elephant.
That's a great segue, because when you emailed me and said, come on my show, I was really struck by the elephant. My band director from high school used to say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And that would refer to a concerto or something you were learning to play. If you were auditioning for all Catholic or district band, you had this big overwhelming piece of music, but you just have to go measure by measure and master each one. That's right. And master each one, and then you've got the whole thing. So I love that. I think that's a great way. Also, he used to say, the hands of time work slowly on the clock of perfection.
Oh,
which is like another
I have not heard
one.
That one. The hands of time work slowly on the clock of perfection. Interesting.
So just, we're all a work in progress. And
all a work in progress. Michael J. Fox, I hope I don't screw this up, but Michael J. Fox, the actor, he's about our age, and he, I think, a few years ago when it was, he's struck with Parkinson's at a very early age, and when he came clean on that and wanted to share his experience, one of the things that he said is, perfection is in God's realm. I leave perfection up to God. I'm really just trying to do the best I can, and he had a sort of a snappier way of saying that. But he, his comment was, I'm not trying to get to perfect, I'm just trying to get to excellent, which I can do on my own.
Right.
But perfection, I'll leave that to God. So, I think you've, like me, internalized a few of these things that become our self-talk, and I think that's another thing that helps us, and hopefully helps my viewers kind of internalize some phrases or mantras almost that would help us through some of the tough days, or some of the days when you'll get through it, but it's still overwhelming, it's still draining, right? We've all had those.
Right.
So.
And I think that's important to remember, when you're young in an industry and I'm very supportive of women in engineering and, keeping them there. So now we're seeing more and more women in the university, in these majors, starting out, and then they're still leaving. A lot of people are still leaving, and whether, for a variety of reasons, I imagine. Some may be starting a family, and there may be a lot of other reasons, but...
They call it the technology pipeline, right? The drain on the pipeline.
Yeah.
And I'm working with my girls now. I don't have a technology background. Well, I have a technology background, but not an engineering background.
Yeah.
And so to explain to my girls, you want to get these skills early. I have one that knows how to speak a foreign language, early. Yeah. That's great. And I'm explaining to her all the time that these are skills that you learn now. You don't have to worry about learning them later when it is a little bit harder.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing with the STEM programs, whether it's Girl Scouts or any other of these programs, that we put these things in front of our girls, let them partake of it, and then hopefully get them into the pipeline. And I think we're still trying to figure out how to support women all through their career as they take breaks to have children, as they, let's face it, you're going to take a break to have a kid. It might be a few weeks, it might be a few months, it might be a few years or a decade or more, but somebody's got to care for our children, and in many cases it's our moms, right?
Yeah.
And these are people who are highly skilled, so we don't want to lose them throughout the entire pipeline, and we want to welcome them back in. So you and I are absolutely on the same page on that.
Yeah.
And you're able to do that in the position that you're in as the branch manager here in Exton.
Right, yes. GEI is amazing with flexibility. You get the job done. There's no issue with the time that you're doing that, so that's great.
Right. Wonderful. Well, as we wrap up here, just the last few minutes, I wonder if there might be one or two things, maybe one thing, that you would tell your younger self.
And I think we already touched on some of that, and that's, stay true to yourself. Keep working hard. I think that's really important. Keep working hard.
Showing up, right? Showing up is half the battle.
Right. Yeah. And I think something that's hard for us is make sure people know that you're working hard and showing up.
Right.
So, we think, well, someone's going to notice. I've been working so hard. I've been working such long hours. Yeah. I came up with this. I did this. But that's not always the case. Yeah. And it may not even be anyone's fault that that's not happening. But we need to advocate, and we need to make sure people know that that's what we're doing, and continue to speak up about other ideas. If we see things that could be changed, like better communication is going to lead to a better result, I think it's important to speak up about it.
And I know that you're talking about that specifically in the workforce as well, but I'm going to say I think this kind of forum on our TV show is also, and on all the video outlets that we have these days, but I think it's also great that you came on today so that people could see this, bright-eyed woman in this, technical field, and also just a very warm person with raising your family, and I with sparkly nails. If y'all didn't catch her sparkly nails on here, I love that.
Thank you.
So with style and grace, and I just really appreciate you being on the show today. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Darla.
So thanks again for watching Organizing Elephants, where we share sanity-saving organizing wisdom from smart, busy, accomplished women on MLTV Mainline Network. See you soon.